You are now listening to Carlie's Couch.
I'm Carlie.
And I'm Lex.
In this podcast, we discuss a wide array of topics about life and how to live your best life.
Whatever that looks like for you.
Hope y'all enjoy.
In this episode of Carlie's Couch, we explore the Tomorrow Man theory and the idea that every choice you make today affects who you are tomorrow.
I'm excited about that. How you doing today, Lexi?
I am doing well, feeling energized, getting things done. Loving the sun and that it's springtime and, it feels good.
I feel like for the past 2-3 days, I've been like, this is perfect weather. This is so nice. So very excited about that. And actually, this week's question from the couch is right in alignment with it being Spring Equinox today. So starting off quarter 2 of the year, what is something that you're proud of that you've accomplished so far this year?
So a couple of people have said creating a side gig that doesn't feel like work. Congrats. And running a marathon.
Yo, shout out to everybody who ran the LA marathon. I saw y'all. I was tracking some of y'all on the app. That's so cool. Some people said being consistent, working out consistently, showing up for themselves consistently. There's this big theme around just showing up, which is awesome.
Another one said losing weight, which and hitting their goal, I'm assuming.
Someone else, shout out to you for having hard conversations, and someone else actually got a new job that's more in alignment, I guess, with who they are, what they want, or more money, or maybe all three.
That's great. And the last one, somebody said for being a consistent friend, which is very important. So shout out to all of y'all for accomplishing so much this year already. Congrats.
Yes. Okay. So today we're going to jump into the Tomorrow Man theory, and it's kind of around this idea that we have all these, I wouldn't say preconceived notions because we've practiced them, but what if we didn't have to be who we are today, who we are in this moment? What if you could wake up tomorrow and choose to be someone different?
Have you ever done that?
Yeah. I actually tested it and tried to think about something differently or move something in a different way. I can think of one time when it worked, in a relationship, and just ideal Carlie, and I became her. And I can think of sometimes when I let myself down, but I have tried it.
Yeah, same. I remember doing this when I went to college, and on the first night, I was like, all right, Lex, well, what type of person do you want to be here? And I wanted to start out more social, more curious, and, being ready to live in this new place and with new people. And that first night, I remember my best friend from college next door was Jessica Hill. And I knocked on her door, was like, you want to order some pizza? Because that was the college thing to do. And then we were like, let's go around the building and knock on everybody's door and meet them and talk to them. And so it's so funny because whereas in high school, I would say I didn't really go out much. I didn't hang out with people outside of school for real. In college, people will look at you and will think differently of you, like, oh, you're outgoing, or, you can be who you want to be. And then similarly, I've done that again, since then, where I'll say okay, let me, show up in this way or that way. Or I'll notice based on the feedback that people give me that I'm like, oh, okay, it's funny that you would say that because, the old me was so different from that. And when it comes to particular things. So I think it's cool. And I think this idea of Tomorrow Man is interesting because what I gain from it is that you have an opportunity to choose and to move in a different direction, but that actually means you have to do something. It's okay, what can you do today that actually helps bring that to fruition?
And that it's accessible to everybody. I think sometimes people get so locked in oh, that's just the way that I am. Oh, this is my personality, and feel like it can't change. But your personality is an amalgam of all the decisions that you have made and you continue to make. And it actually can be that easy just to change your mind.
So to define the concept, the Tomorrow Man is the version of you that exists based on today's actions. So also keep in mind that means Tomorrow Man always exists. It's just who is that person going to be? They'll be here regardless. And every choice you make is either supporting or sabotaging your future self.
And so thinking about the way that you eat, how much rest you get, how much work you do, how much time you spend with your partner, with your friends, with yourself, how much time you spend working on this person that you say you are or say you want to be for your Tomorrow Man.
So some examples to bring this to life is, okay, if I get 10 hours of sleep tonight, then Tomorrow Man is going to be productive, going to wake up refreshed, be be focused, and probably get a little bit more done.
And then if you have all these workout goals or weight loss or body goals, if you skip today's workout, tomorrow you might not feel good. You might beat yourself up. You might feel bad. You might feel sluggish. You might feel blah.
And that's real easy to understand too when it comes to like that late night Wendy's order, or food where it's like you're craving it or you want it and then you eat it and it's just like, I shouldn't have did that, or it kind of mess your stomach up for the next day. And thinking about what does it mean to think more long term. That's really what this is helping us to exercise. And then another one too, because on the positive side of it, it's like, all right, if I take some risk today, then that means tomorrow man may have new opportunities. So the things that you do today can also just open up kind of new pathways for you to go.
Man, actually, so I saw this girl at the gym. I would call her an acquaintance, but I saw her and I was like, hey girl, how you doing? And she was like, oh man. She was like, I took my shot at my gym crush today. She was like, I was walking out, I was walking in, he was walking out. I was like, okay, God, this is a sign. She was like, I took a shot, but he has a girlfriend. And I was like, oh, but at least you took a shot. And she was like, he was so nice. She was like, but actually it turns out he's a director of cinematography and that's what I'm looking for this other thing. So I might have been meant to connect with him for something else, but she just took her shot. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, because everything can have some type of reason to it. It may not be what you wanted, something completely a different direction, and we can always look at what's happening around us and to us and be able to gain something from it. So that was pretty cool. As long as she don't have him calling HR during they work together.
Don't be weirdos. Like, please. But I think this is so important because like we get so ingrained, in our 20s, 30s, 40s, however old you are. I think the older you get, the harder it is, or the harder you feel like it is to change. But it's so refreshing to think about how powerful it is that we can make better decisions today and wake up in the morning and be a new person and be on this new track to something. And so that's kind of why I wanted to have this conversation, because we don't have to let yesterday really dictate who we are today and tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And while I agree, I do feel that I see a lot of examples of it feeling like the older you get, you're more stuck in something. And I also see a lot of the opposite, where a lot of people who, as they get older, it's almost like their eyes open to the fact that now, I could be doing this, or I can sleep on the end of the side of the bed. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. I was like, have you ever slept with your head at the bottom of the bed or slept like diagonal? Because sometimes it's just stupid stuff like that. And you're like, I could do what I want. Like, it doesn't matter. So that's a big goal. Like, I think about that too as I get older. I'm like, I don't want to ever be like stuck in a space. And that goes for like skills and tech and music. Today I was just some music and I was like, I can't do it. And I was like, well, maybe I can accept in some spaces where, you could be open, but it's like you don't have to, accept it all. And like with tech, you could try your best to kind of, know what's going on, but you may not take everything in the same way. Shout out to us, because we're like the last folks who like kind of have a bit of both and understanding like how tech has come into our worlds. So yeah, things are always changing, but guess what? You can too.
And I think it's like I'm getting excited because I just love stuff like that. Like, I was like, when's the last time I made a fort? And so I made a fort and like watched movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is so, I used to love that when I was little. I moved my room around, like just like little shifts. I think like little tiny things that are seemingly tiny. Maybe moving around your house or room is a big thing, but like little things can make really big changes and just bring in a lot of new, fresh energy and fresh perspectives. And so, think about what ways in your life, like what areas can you do that?
Yeah, and take a moment to look inside and think about, like, who do you think you are? When you think about who you are, how do you define yourself? And which of those things are you like, this is good? And which of the things might be like, but actually, I kind of want that to change a little bit. And recognize that this fixed identity that we kind of put upon ourselves is an illusion. So your personality, your habits, even like your lifestyle, all of those things are not set in stone. They're very fluid. But speaking to that point too, let's talk about, for somebody who may say like, well, it's easier to be like, I could do anything and be anything the next day if I have certain resources or the means to do certain stuff. How would you like respond to that?
So actually, with one of my first days of business school at USC, one of the professors said something that was really like, I don't know, groundbreaking at the time. I'd never heard it before, but it's just like, what's something you can do to get 1% closer to where you want to be, or like 1% better, or whatever. And so I would ask the person, like, okay, what do you think that you need more resources for? And if it's wellness stuff, wellness is the easy thing, because you can walk around a block, you can work out in your living room, you don't really need stuff. You can actually work on those things. If they're like, oh, I want to change my job, I feel like I'm stuck, I don't have resources to go hire somebody to fix my resume, to go do this, to go do that, to go do this. And I would see, what's the most important thing? Okay, resume. Okay, cool. Let's look up some videos on YouTube on how to fix your resume. Let's go on ChatGPT and look up all these prompts that people are posting on how to fix your. There's literally,
because they're making it real easy now,
bro. There's so many resources.
You get a good starting point real fast.
There's so many resources to do anything, and it's like, well, I have kids, I'm married, I'm this, and that's fine. And you can have it like excuses forever too. So it's like, what are you willing to change a little bit in order to try to be this person you say you want to be?
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna put on my imaginary kufi for a moment and say, as wild as it kind of sounds, like, the happiness is in your mind, my brother and sister. Cause like, when we talk about like the money you need to be different and all this and that, like, it really is like more of a mindset shift of like, for tomorrow, man, like you're working on a weight journey or a health journey. And so for tomorrow, man, it's like you have to like feel good and enjoy the fact that you've gotten out to do your walk, or like, you get started and you focus on like what feels good, and you focus on what you're able to do and what you are doing. And you already feel good without it having to be like, well, yeah, if I had, made X amount of money, I would get like a 24-hour fitness. Cause even for that, like that might be doing too much for some people. Or the excuse of like, oh, I would get a trainer, I would do whatever. But like either way, I guarantee you had that trainer money. And if you still haven't like done the mindset shifts or looked at it a certain way, then you're still going to feel like the same regardless of what you're doing. Or you might not even, that might be an excuse, and you find out you're still just not even doing it anyway.
Nothing changes if you don't change. Not one thing. And so it's like, for the tomorrow man, do you want to deal with all the guilt, all the shame, all the insecurity, whatever you have about feeling stuck or where you're not where you want to be? Do you want to just sit with the excuses for the rest of your life? Because that's your option. That's your like choice. But it's your choice. And I think that that's the empowering part of all this, is like, we really get to live like with the choices that we make. And I understand that there's other things happening, extenuating circumstances. I'm not ignorant to all of that, but just saying, as much as you can control, like, you get to choose your mindset and how you show up and what you want to do for yourself every single day.
And the small shifts can really have a big impact, even if they're just showing you that you can do a thing. So an example for me of like a habit and how it has shifted things over time is, and I guess this relates to tomorrow, man, because I said, like, I had somebody who told me, they were like, man, what are you going to do with all this money that you're going to get? And I was like, that's a good question. And I realized that, in preparation for being somebody who can actually manage that, or if something were to happen, like what would I do? Because I've had that experience where was making a lot of money, but I didn't use that appropriately. I don't have nothing to show for that particular time right now, right? And so it's like, oh, well, tomorrow man might gain, but how do you prepare for tomorrow man to like be ready for those things? And that's a mental shift and like kind of a spiritual shift to where, okay, the small habits that I started thinking about was, I need to get more accustomed to budgeting, or make that a habit, so that I'm just more aware of where the money's going, more aware of what I have upcoming to spend, more aware of like every dollar and da-da-da-da. And that helped me to make better decisions, helped me to think more about like, oh, I see I have X amount of money, but I also see I have this, and this, and this, and this about to come out. So actually, I don't have it to be doing the most right now, instead of just going out here and there and doing things on a short-term basis. So it's those kind of things where it's like, that's preparing you for tomorrow, man. Because now maybe not yet, but when the check clears and it's like, yeah, I already got a plan for this, and I'm already in the mindset of not thinking, how can I spend this immediately? Or I'm not thinking, about using it unwisely.
Man, it makes me think about, sometimes like little things will happen. Like today, I had a very long morning. I don't normally train super early, but I had to flip some clients around and do some stuff. So I had to go to bed early, get up. But I made a lunch yesterday. Took it with me today. was able to eat it in my car. And guess who was very happy? Me. Guess who had a better mood? Me. Guess who didn't go buy nonsense food, didn't waste money, didn't waste time, like all these things. And I always tell myself, I laugh because I'm like, man, shout out to yesterday, Carlie, because she was looking out for me today. And so it's just thinking about what are those things that your future self, that will be your present self, can thank you for. Like, what are those little things that you can do to show up for your tomorrow man today?
And then this is a good time to think about change with spring and equinox and a season of growth and, more light in our day and seeing the trees and the flowers and all the things start to bloom. Do you feel a different type of energy in the spring?
I feel so refreshed. It's so funny. I got sick last week, and I don't really ever get sick, so that's weird. But I was like, and just feeling heavy and my cycle, just all kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like, like this week just felt so good. And then I was like, hey Siri, when is spring equinox? And she was like, vernal equinox is today. And I'm like, oh shit. So yes, even when I'm not thinking about it, I can tell the difference.
I don't really know if I can or not. Definitely there's a new energy with a longer day for sure. But then I feel like I'm starting to notice like pockets throughout the year where I'm like a little more energetic. But of course I'm kind of always thinking about, myself and how to prepare myself as a vessel to take in those things that I'm working towards. And so for me, it's like an ongoing thing, but definitely it's a good time if you are one of those like spring cleaners, or if you are locked in on, the seasons and the world around you in that way to where you want to take advantage of this time. Definitely encourage you to do so.
Yeah, because if we can learn things from nature. During the winter, bears hibernate, trees go dead, there's not flowers blooming. And so around this time is whenever that starts to shift. And so you can utilize that energy right now in the season to make a shift in your life. So it is a great time energetically, astrologically, all of those things to clean out your house. But also thinking about cleaning out your mind and the clutter and the stuff in your heart or the habits that you don't want to do anymore. So take some time this week and identify a habit, a mindset shift, or an action to help you kick off this new spring season.
And I was going to ask you, do you have one in particular that you're focused on in this space?
So I want, like, every day when I wake up, I am walking. That's my first thing, like to actually go outside, like physically, and do at least a 20-minute walk. And so that's just something, because I notice that if I have a bunch of energy that just sits on me, it gets heavy and it gets harder to like move around through the day, and I feel heavier spiritually. And so I'm like, nope, you wake up, you take your behind outside, you go walk. Even if you only got 10 minutes, go outside. And so I've done that for like the past, I want to say 3-4 days, and it's been so nice every day.
Yeah, that's good. Because similarly, one of the things I recognized was the same. It was around like how I started the day, and needing or seeing that if I started a particular way, then it kind of sets me up a little bit better. And then you got to listen to that, right? You got to listen to yourself and see like, all right, what may feel like, oh, I'm letting myself rest, or if you're engaging in a bad habit, if you're just sitting around or whatever it might be, recognizing like what that actually, how that makes you feel. And sometimes you need to rearrange your day based on like, all right, actually let's get some energy going up top and then let myself cruise down. But definitely think about that and ask your tomorrow man what they need from you today. I feel like the easy answers for that for me are like certain work to do for the next day, or like, if you have a meeting the next day and there's some things maybe you should prep today. Sometimes it's okay looking at your workout schedule. Well, I know I have to do something tomorrow, so let me make sure I do the things that give me that time tomorrow. It really helps you just to take stock in what your goals are and what your actions are, and hoping to see like how you can make sure that they're more aligned.
Yeah, your life can really change in an instant if you let it. And so remember that who you are today is not set in stone. So take some time this week and think about, where you want to be, where you are, what are those habits, what are those actions, what can you do for your tomorrow man, and let us know. Hit us at Carlie's Couch on all the platforms, right on the YouTube, right on the episode page. Let us know all the things.
See you next time.